everybody. Welcome to Frequency Freaks Workshop for February of 2022. This is probably about the fourth time that I've shot this, so forgive me if I'm starting to sound a little bit bored. I usually get it in one take, and this time it's just not working out that way. I just wanted to point out that there's been a significant amount of housekeeping done on our YouTube channel, thanks to Michael Brooker, and we're going to put a link to his video that talks about that up around here, somewhere up here. There'll be a card that shows up if you're on a computer. If you're on a TV, you'll have to wait till you're on a computer to see that. And we'll also put a description, a link in the description below. This month we are going to be continuing our focus on Microsound, and Michael is also going to have a pretty in-depth discussion with Thispatcher. And we also have some really cool performances for you. So hopefully you'll enjoy that, and without further ado, on with the show. Enjoy.
Cool.
Okay, here we are. Hey, Thispatcher, how you doing?
I'm good, Octavian. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Good to have you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so, for our February workshop, I just wanted to have you on to go through some of your music as kind of a follow-up from last month's Granular Microsound panel that we did.
Yeah.
It was awesome to have you on that, and as well as Gabrielle and our regulars.
Yeah.
And so this month, what I want to do is apply some of the concepts we talked about Granular Microsound and talk about how you use it in your music. So, if I'm talking about like an official, I wrote this little thesis for why I wanted to have this discussion, and this discussion seeks to gain insight from and promote the work of one of the leading academic and creative voices in our community on music technology and Microsound. With that said, I'm going to put in the description for this workshop your link tree.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also creating a playlist for you on the Frequency Freaks YouTube. Yeah, and if people see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my tablet screen here, not because I'm super antisocial and can't make eye contact with my camera. But yeah, so we're making a playlist for you anyway, and people can check that out in the description. You've also made a little spreadsheet of your pieces, so we'll be going through those in a certain order. We'll just I think we'll share a link to that document you made, but we're just going to take a grab bag from it, not all those pieces. But so what I want to do for everybody today is just we're going to listen to a minute of some tracks, unprompted, unaided, and then we're going to talk a little bit about each of those, about the track we just listened to, and then we'll listen to the same clip again, so people get that unbiased, and then we talk about it, and then people can kind of note how their listening changes before and after. So one other thing I wanted to mention before we start the listening part is that I have picked up all your albums on Bandcamp. Huge fan of them. And here they are on screen. And people will have the opportunity to buy those when we're done.
Yeah. I released all three of those last year, actually. So the three albums we'll be listening to today, starting with Early Electroacoustic Works Volume 1 into Volume 2, and then Guitar Smattering. Those first two albums are a collection of pieces that I made over the course of about 2005 to 2014. My earliest sort of experiments with I was even making experiments in sound with like Windows Movie Maker, as the only thing I had to cut audio up and experiment.
I use that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Just the timeline on it. So yeah, going from that through to my my years in electroacoustic music studies at Concordia University. So those are those two pieces, those two albums rather, and then Guitar Smattering is an album composed entirely on electric guitar through modular synth, and they're all live takes that were done. So yeah, I'm really excited to be doing this. Yeah, I guess I'll throw that back to you, Michael, and we can hop into the first album, EA Works Volume 1.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah. So what we wanted to start with the 11th track on the album, which is called Unvoiced, and it looks like it was written in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just check this out. Wow.
Yeah.
So that is 14 seconds.
14 seconds. That's right. Yeah. That one's it's really dear to my heart. That was the first piece that I composed in the electroacoustic music program at Concordia. It was actually the first assignment, like the very first week. My professor in the first year, Kevin Austin, he asked all of us to go home, pick a paragraph out of a book, and read it into the microphone, and then go and find all of the unvoiced consonants in the recording and excerpt those. So those would be our source material for working with the piece. And then he also made the constraint that we weren't allowed to use any effects. We weren't allowed to use any like pitch shifting, time stretching, or anything like that. He said all you can do is cut and paste. You're only allowed to work with cut and paste. And so I picked this as the first song to start with because I think if you're new to Microsound composition or you just want to try something a little different, this way of working, really just working with cut and paste, you can totally achieve Microsound with it. So if you listen, for example, if you listen to that sound at the very end, that's an unvoiced consonant that is cut into very, very, very tiny pieces. That little tiny fragment is copied and then pasted a bunch of times, so it actually just creates a new waveform. So yeah, if you have a segment of sound that you're repeating periodically, then you get a tone out of it. So that was just it was a ton of fun. I did that piece in Cubase, and it really set the tone for my studies there. Just that something as simple as cut and paste can yield some really interesting results.
Yeah, so this kind of set the stage for your future studies at Concordia. It was like a 14-second announcement of that phase of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I still remember. I remember everything about doing that piece, and it was. I didn't trust it at first, but I was really happy with the results. So that's and I can relate to that. I can relate to that particular. Oh, I don't know if, and then it turns out okay.
Right, and so often that's kind of what happens. Is
definitely.
All the angst leading up to the thing, and then you just do it, and you listen back. Maybe you listen back. Initially, you think, "Oh, that sucks," but then, at least for me, I'll go back a week or two later with the benefit of sleep and hindsight, and go, "Yeah, that was actually pretty good."
It's very common to be critical. It's hard not to be critical in the immediate aftermath of experiencing making, but Yeah, or self-critical anyway. Yeah,
well, let's check it out again.
Let's listen again.
It's 14 seconds, so I could even listen to it 1 or 2 more times.
Sure.
Man, there's so much happening there in terms of like connections and connotations that I want to make. I mean, there's
Go for it.
Dial-up, the associations that are coming up in my head when I hear it is like dial-up modem. I hear a bit of your voice there, which is nice because in Granular, sometimes when you granularize things, you take such short snippets and you make clouds that don't end up resembling the original at all, which is fine. But
Sure.
I like here that we get some of the original source material. So it's,
yeah, like you hear the shh sometimes and the yeah, and I'm also getting a rise out of like a real kick out of like hearing, even back then my interest in stereo panning was really prevalent. Which is something
that's such a key aspect of Granular is the spatial element.
Yeah, and it's a absolutely key element of how I play, you know. I'm really, really attentive to stereo fields, so yeah, it's just really tickling me that this piece is so strong, I think, in how it's arranged in stereo.
Yeah. So I think next let's go to track 4 on the album, which is called Capsule 2.
Sure.
And as my computer sort of plods along here, trying to open up the album page again.
Okay. If you like, we can you can stay on the album page and play directly from there, and then you don't have to jump around.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, you just hit the play button there. Okay. Shall we start?
Yes, so let's check out Capsule 2.
Cool. So
wow, yeah. That's much more of a landscape than the last one.
Yeah. It's so. I think maybe I'll speak to. Yeah, like well, the first thing that it brings me back to is I actually ended up using the first 10 seconds of that as the soundtrack to a podcast I was running at the time, which was interviews I was conducting with composers and other creatives. Called Objets Sonores, and I think that's probably still available online. But also, yeah, I would also just note that like the reason I chose this piece as sort of the follow-up to Unvoiced is a very different way of composing. The method I used here was I composed first a piece in Sibelius, and then exported the audio file from the session, and arranged it into an audio editor, which is Amadeus Pro. It was an application I was using a lot of at the time.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like what's that? It's kind of like Audacity, but just not as kind of the interface is a bit more pleasant. You know, it's a bit things are sort of hidden in OS 10 menus as opposed to like all just kind of staring at you like Audacity. But it's basically the same thing. And what's cool about it is that has sample accuracy as well as you can arrange for like in like 7.1, 5.1.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it's really really pretty slick. And a lot of the pieces I was doing at this time were done in this program.
So is this a notation program?
No, it's an audio editor. It's like
Okay.
Yeah, it's an audio editor.
Oh, you said it's like Audacity. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like Audacity. And so the way that I composed this was so I composed in Sibelius first, and then I placed the audio file in Amadeus, and I often things I would do is I would duplicate the track and maybe inch the second one over by a number of samples, or maybe a lot of samples, and then have one be in the left and one on the right. So there's this sort of interesting phasing going on. And then I used a program plugins called Sound Magic by Michael Norris, which I'm pretty sure was also based on the algorithms of the Composer's Desktop project by Trevor Wishart, which is a really interesting piece of history in granular synthesis. So
Curtis Rhodes talks about Trevor Wishart a lot.
Yeah, it's really neat. But what's nice about Sound Magic is it's a bit more real time. Like you can audition the results of the granular effects on your sound, whereas the Composer's Desktop project is older, so it was more of a renderer, rendering audio. So,
cool.
Should we get back to it or listen again?
Yeah, let's check it out one more time. And so, just one thing before I go though is the sound that you imported into Amadeus Pro. Was this the Sibelius instruments?
Yeah, it was the audio output.
The audio export?
Yeah.
Of the notation software.
Of the notation software. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've used that in recent workshops when I'm showing my undo arrangement from Bjork.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's check this out one more time.
Sure.
Man, that's gorgeous.
Thank
Do you know John Hollenbeck?
No, I don't. I'll look him up.
Oh, I can't hear you so well.
Oh, hi. I'm still here.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I'll check out John Hollenbeck.
Check him out, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so now let's go.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
For sure. Let's check out one more tune here. We are looking at
Iron Harvest.
Iron Harvest.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm hitting play. Yeah.
Wow.
So this is still, I think, to this day, one of my favorite pieces. And if
Oh,
we
I
have
can't.
oh, hi, hello.
There we go. Hey.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's my computer or something, but I wonder. Well, we'll see in the recording.
Yeah. Hopefully it's okay. Yeah. So this is absolutely one of my favorite recordings that I've made. So the source material for this was just I had a set of keys that I was just kind of plopping on my desk. I think I went out and did a field recording in Montreal where I sort of noticed some trash sort of blowing along the street, and so I just went and recorded that.
Sounds like Foley. Like this sounds like what they do to create, sounds for film and sound effects.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's great. And so the way that this was prepared was I was experimenting a lot with the programming language Pure Data Extended, or PD Extended, created by Miller Puckett and then sort of extended by the programming community. I made a sampler that could run really, really fast and work with a lot of samples and generate a lot of samples. So I sort of called it sort of this custom granular sampler. And it was constantly sort of sampling those key sounds and various other things and glitching them and arranging them in space. And then the other thing that's granular in this piece is that pad that's washing over. That's actually just a super brief recording of that trash that's moving, and then it's being fed through Michael Norris's Spectral Freeze plugin, which if you go to michaelnorris.info, which I just invite you to do on your own time, he gives a really nice description of what a spectral freeze is. And so, yeah, I'd take a super short sample and just stretch it right out. And that's what's going on with those pads in the background. And for those of you, watching the show, man, my absolute favorite part of this piece, we didn't even listen to. It's the last minute of the piece. So I don't know, Michael, shall we do the first minute of this, or would you be down if we did the first minute, listen again, and then just go to the...
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I think I really want to highlight right there the
Just
okay.
having some... Hello?
Hi, hello?
Mike?
Hi, hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, it's weird. Every time I
It's okay.
stop the audio, then there's
That's okay.
always like a delay. going back to
that's
hearing
okay.
you.
I can work with that. No problem. Yeah. So I think what I just want to highlight there is that like you can hear the keys rubbing against each other. There's this really kind of lush high frequency content that's kind of sort of spreading from right to left in that last section that just for me is just really 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 satisfying. So and again that was done with the granular sampler that I made.
I think I'm going to meditate with that track.
Yeah, it's a good one for that.
It helps me go inside myself.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great.
So let's go on to the second album.
Yep. Perfect.
Take a couple examples from there.
Okay.
Start with this track Mode M, which is making me think of the internet. Is that the presentation?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's listen first. Sorry, I broke my own rule. Let's listen first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hear me okay?
We're having that delay again.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey. Now I can hear you.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. So what's cool about this one, the reason I wanted to start with this one from this album is this is that same granular sampler that was being used in Iron Harvest. I kept experimenting with it and coding it and making with it. So but instead of field recordings around my neighborhood and playing with the keys and objects around my apartment, this is a prepared upright piano. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, how is it prepared? Like, did you put coins in there?
Yeah. What did I do? I'm trying to remember. I had like.
For viewers that don't know what prepared piano is, it's basically you take a piano and you mess it up. You put stuff in between the wires of the piano.
Yeah.
So you can put a piece of paper in there. A lot of people put metal things so that when a hammer hits the string doesn't sound quite like you're expecting.
Yeah, like there's like a great example is Niels Fromm has an album, the album that the song Says is on, and I can't remember the name of the album, but beautiful album. You can hear like he did something to the felt on the keys, and so you can really hear when he's hitting the key as opposed to just hearing the note. It's just this super lush sound. But yeah, I think I put like playing cards in the strings. I was just also, this isn't prepared, but like I was running the backs of my fingernails along the keys, and it was going this sound.
No way.
So yeah, just in part augmented through some prepared, but also just maybe you could call it extended technique, just playing with the actual. I would say more so playing with the piano as an object than necessarily playing its keys. Yeah, I was just experimenting.
Yeah, playing with the sounds that would come out when you're the sounds that come out of you interacting with the instrument in different ways, like the acoustic effect of running. Yeah, that's extended technique.
Yeah. So
let's check this out one more time. Yeah,
for sure.
Cool. Yeah.
Test. You can hear me okay?
I'm just waiting to get the audio back from you.
Cool. Test.
There we go. Yep.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe we'll move on to the next
Track
piece
1.
then.
Yes.
Track 10. It's titled PD Synth Part 1.
Okay, now let's give it a few seconds to get your audio back. Hello.
Okay, hello.
Hey.
Hello. Yeah, so this one I really dig this piece because I would regard it as like a process piece, right? Like this is me doing live coding in coding in Pure Data Extended, you know, and I have just the mic on, and it's kind of thing where like when I was doing a lot of coding in PD, it's kind of similar to the way you would patch, right? Like you have the audio playing. Maybe if you're doing something with a microphone, you have the mic on, and you're sort of auditing the effects of what you're coding is having on your sound, and you're listening to it live. And it just kind of got into this nice place where I really liked what was being captured by the microphone and processed, and so I just kept it recording. And so this is a piece where in the first half it's just in the left channel. That's just what I had patched in at the time, and then there's PD synth number 2. I'm probably putting too many ths in, but it's too satisfying to not do it. But yeah, so the second one, I would encourage you to listen to both of them, for part 1 and part 2. The second one really starts to pick up and is shifting the samples back and forth and granulating them. And yeah, and I think there's also quite a bit of carpless strong synthesis involved in the second one as well.
This one sounds more like we're using the sound object time scale. And just as a refresher from last month, talking like the amount of time that we consider a normal note to be, like a quarter note or an eighth note, versus the microsound time scale, which would be like 10 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds or something. This seems to be using samples that exist on a more kind of on a longer, maybe more tangible length of time.
It's so the sounds themselves, I would say, are in the sound object domain, but the processing and the sort of attention to detail, I would say, is more in the microsound context. As the piece goes on, though, it starts to get more granulated and
shorter,
rearranged and shorter. Yeah, for sure. But it's just a recording of my keystrokes, right? Is what you're hearing.
Yeah, well, and when we're doing this at the sound object time scale, and maybe with the way you're treating it in terms of spatial or the reverb and such, it kind of reminds me of Burial.
Cool.
That artist, like his Untrue album.
Sick. Yeah. Oh, well, I'm gonna listen to that today.
Yeah,
Sick.
do that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's check this out one more time.
Sure.
was a treat.
Yeah.
Let's just give it a couple seconds.
Sure. I'm gonna test.
You there?
Test. Yeah, I just want to, before we move
Yeah.
on, and I know we're running out of time, but before I move on to the next piece, I just want to actually respond to your original question about sound object, whether it's in the sound object timescale. I would say it's not. I say maybe it generates something that's in the sound object timescale, but all of the source material are clicks of a mouse, which are very, very short, right? Certainly less than 100 milliseconds each, and so and that's actually it's neat for me to kind of go through this, because in the granular when I'm playing with the modular, one of my favorite things to do is ping a filter and then run it into a delay and create big textures from it, but really just generating the grains from simple clicks. So this is a piece that's, you can go on an odyssey for 13 minutes of clicks turned into really, really, really thick textures. So,
maybe what I'm calling the sound object timescale is, when I'm saying it's sound object timescale, I'm basically just saying that what I'm hearing are samples long enough for me to tell what they are.
Could be.
So it's like, it's not so much the length of time so much as like, yeah, I can tell those are clicks. I can tell you're typing. So then, it must be sound object timescale, but it could be really short. It's just I can tell what they are. So that's why I said they were
cool.
They were that. Yeah.
Cool.
So I want to check out your guitar smattering album a little bit.
Yes. So remind me which one we're starting with.
I think we were going to do multi-dominance first.
Perfect. Yeah, let's go there. Test. You can hear me okay? Yeah.
Just give a sec.
Okay.
Trying to.
That's okay. You can hear me now?
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Man, that takes me back to making that piece. Like, so there's a couple of, the source material is a Stratocaster, and in terms of the actual source material, it's like a mix of like playing volume swells and
like with a pedal, like a foot pedal?
No, just the volume knob, just like hammering on and then hammering on and then turning the volume up. Sort of palm muting, sort of strumming, and what was cool is that it's being fed into the magneto tape delay, but the
Strymon,
the Strymon magneto tape delay, which is where you're sort of getting those sort of more common sort of tape echoey sounds. But what's causing the more granular effect is the mimeophone. And so I think a lot of it was like the zone knob was cranked all the way to the right, so that you're not really hearing the live audio, you're hearing like 40 seconds ago. But I was modulating that pretty hard so that sometimes it would just crank all the way to the left and get into the Microsound domain and stutter and grab and do some really neat things there. And I just had, I think it was probably the Tempe. I just had the Tempe, the 6-channel clock generator on a bunch of mults, and I was just running those into as many different CV inputs as I could, so that the tempo of the effect, the timing of the different CV changes were all sort of quantized to each other. which is one of my favorite ways of playing a synth with my guitar through it. It's just a ton of fun to have delay quantized to a clock, but the effects all sort of, or the CV also playing into that. Anyway.
Yeah, and with Tempe, it's awesome that you can do a round robin thing with the clocks, or you can cycle between preset ratios of clocks.
Cool.
And things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I haven't even explored that yet.
wicked.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, that's a really. I'll have to try that. Cool.
Yeah.
Shall we head back into it?
Check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hear me okay right now? Test, 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 test.
Just waiting to get you back here.
Yeah, it's all good.
There you are.
Hey. Yeah. Oh, it's fun. All right, I see we're running out of time, so maybe we should we get to Sluice Point? Is that what we should do, or?
Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll just do a quick little farewell to the team here.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hey there. You can hear me okay?
So what can we say about that? First of all, what is a sluice and a sluice point?
I think, isn't Sluice Point a place in Nova Scotia? I think it's a place in Nova Scotia, and my band at the time, I was in this mostly a choir with a guitarist named the Hamilton Trading Company. We were on tour, and I think we were just in the, when you're in the van and you've been driving for a long time, little things make you laugh, and they just make the long drives less sucky. And I think we were just, I don't know, for some reason we were just saying to each other like Sluice Point. We just kept, and it was just this thing. And but I think for me, it just, I don't know, when I listened to it, what I just saw was like a snowy landscape, and that's what that tour was. It was just really, really tons of snow and driving through, and you just saw snow everywhere you looked. So yeah, but that was a piece basically where it's again running through the Strymon Magneto in pitch shift mode, and it's also going into Mimeophon with a really, really high repeat like feedback time, and pretty short sample window. And some slight modulations of that, but yeah. And so I was just, it was one of those pieces where like I think it's from a really really long session, and when I listen back, there's this like really beautiful nugget that I kind of got, and there was also like my preamp was really like kind of cutting out a lot, and so there was this like whoosh, this really like terrible like whistling sound that was actually getting picked up by the mimeophone, and it created sounds of like snow kind of gusting. It just kind of worked out really well, so I kept it.
Yeah. Like mimeophone and didn't they come up with Echophone and didn't they come up with a recent one too, another granular one?
Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe it was mimeophone was the recent one. But it seems that module can take things, like you say, that initially sound awful or just not particularly interesting, and just make art out of it as if it has a mind of its own. It's like, I know what your piece needs. Here you go. You know, a gift from me to you.
Yeah, I mean, Echo is a ton of fun to play with. It's fun to hear yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess a note on the Echophone. I believe it's based on Tom Erb's Bubbler, which was available as a PD external. Which, although we didn't cover the piece, a Punster Naturo file, which is a piece I recorded with a custom polyphonic guitar that I made, was built entirely using the Bubbler Pure Data external. So, yeah, it's kind of like early Echophon, but in software.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm noting the time, and
yeah, let's check out this point one more time.
Sure.
And then we'll just give some closing remarks.
Cool.
So much.
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Just waiting to get this audio back.
It's good.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Ben, thank you for taking us on that journey through your music.
Thank you for having me.
If people want to check out more of your music and just connect with you in different ways, we're going to put your link tree in our YouTube description, and that includes this Bandcamp and the albums that you have for sale. Like I say, I'm a proud owner of your discography here, and
thank you.
It really helps to listen to it on a good system and with wave, like with some uncompressed, as much or as little compression as possible.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, highly recommend people check that out. Also, they can follow you on Instagram and Spotify, and your website's linked in your link tree as well.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another thing for people to take note of is if they want to learn how to negotiate some of these things, like the programming you mentioned with Max and Pure Data, things like JavaScript and Node.js, how to make your own plugins and effects and synthesizers. That stuff's fascinating to me. I have no idea how. So, you offer private lessons to people on how to do this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's wicked. Now, what, other than the links and the private lessons, what are some ways that people can connect with you and maybe contribute to what you're doing and collaborate with you?
Oh, I mean, hit me up on Instagram. It's at Thispatcher. Thispatcher is, by the way, an object in MaximSP. Is a little hint to my my affinity for that programming language. Yeah. Hit me up on Instagram. Happy to chat about jamming, or we can work on a project together. I also run a monthly electroacoustic free improvisation concert series called Exit Points.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's what it is it's two ensembles each play a set of free improvisation, and then we all rearrange ourselves into new groupings and are joined by audience guests. And there's a couple goals behind that series. It's really meant to try to introduce. Thank you. Yeah, it's meant to really try to introduce as many musicians and performers as possible to playing online, which during the pandemic is one of the only ways that we can collectively make art together. And then the other thing as well is just to also sort of demystify the process of free improvisation. Like, just try it, And I can say that you see here, this is the 2-year anniversary. In the 2 short years that I've run this show, I've introduced over 100 artists, close to 140 now, to performing online for the first time. I'm just like super proud of this series. Got a lot of really cool things in the works that I'll be announcing on this show. So yeah, come check it out. 8 o'clock, February 23rd, featuring Yang Chen, Eden Gray, MAYSUN, Marc-Alexandre Chan, James Bailey, Justin Scherer, and myself, Thispatcher. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and like, this is a great way, just like Frequency Freaks is, for people to kind of come out of their shell in terms of performing for other people, and also getting used to performing online now. Definitely. And how to stream, and you're happy to help people get acclimated to an online kind of streaming environment, right?
Yeah, I basically do like a free 30-minute to 60-minute lesson with each performer in advance to make sure that their tech is all good and that they're feeling comfortable, so yeah, it's a big passion project of mine, and it's always a lot of fun. So
yeah. All right, well, thanks again for coming out.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see your next Exit Points show, and to see what performance you give us for this month's workshop.
Wicked. Great. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll catch you later, Thispatcher.
All right,
I'm sure we'll be seeing each other again soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Ciao.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. Be safe. Hi there. I'm going to demonstrate a simple technique I often use to achieve microsound on the modular synthesizer. The basic signal path is a function generator, pinging a filter, and then going into a delay. I have this arranged in stereo with one grain path patched hard left and a second grain path patched hard right into my stereo mixer. At the moment, the wet signal of the delay is turned down, so let's just hear the dry audio of the pinged filter. Alright, so each time the filter is pinged, it creates a grain. Adding modulation to the filter, I can vary the grain texture, pitch, and length. Now with delay, I can increase the density by increasing the repeats. I can change the spread by altering the sampling window, or in some cases the tape loop length. I can also add in some reverb. I can use reverse. Yeah. So the function generator is being driven by the clock. And all of the modulation here is simply from gate signals. So I'll patch a Bernoulli gate output into the reverse of the delay. Yeah. And I'm going to share a patch diagram for this in today's chat for reference. And now I'm going to improvise a short piece with this patch. Yeah. So I just want to also note that I was also playing with the filter knob on the delay as well as the hold knob, which was sort of creating freezing, holding the grain, as well as the dry wet knob. And yeah, so that's it for me. Thanks everyone for watching. I want to give a big thanks as well to Frequency Freaks for having me this week. And please stay safe, everyone. Ciao.